The massive Imperial warship emerged from hyperspace like a predatory creature, its obsidian hull blocking out the stars above Earth. Alerts blared across every military installation on the planet as humanity faced its first contact with an alien civilization, not with peace, but with the shadow of conquest. Commander Sarah Chen stood in the United Earth Defense Force headquarters beneath Mount Cheyenne, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the alien vessel. 20 years of military service hadn't prepared her for this moment. The ship alone was larger than any human city, bristling with weapons that made Earth's most powerful arsenals look like children's toys. "They're broadcasting, Commander," Lieutenant Park announced, his fingers dancing across the quantum interface, converting alien language patterns now. The message that boomed through the command center was clear and chilling. "Primitive species of Sol 3, you will submit to the authority of the Nexaran Empire. Resistance is futile. You have one planetary rotation to surrender your world." Sarah's jaw tightened as she exchanged glances with General Marcus Rivera, her mentor, and the head of Earth's combined military forces. They had prepared for this possibility, but the reality was far more intimidating than their simulations. "Send our response," Rivera ordered, his voice steady despite the weight of 7 billion lives hanging on their next actions. Sarah stepped forward, activating the global broadcast system. "This is Commander Chen of Earth. We are a sovereign species. We will not submit to conquest or intimidation. Earth is our home, and we will defend it." The response was immediate. Smaller ships began deploying from the Imperial vessel, their formations precise and threatening. But something unexpected happened as they entered Earth's atmosphere. Their previously perfect formations began to waver. "Sir," Lieutenant Park called out, excitement in his voice. "Their ships, they're having trouble maintaining stability. Our atmospheric interference is stronger than their systems anticipated." Sarah leaned forward, studying the data streaming across her neural interface. The aliens' technology was incredibly advanced, but it wasn't adapting well to Earth's unique magnetic field and atmospheric composition. A small advantage, but they needed every edge they could get. "Deploy the Phoenix Squadron," she ordered. The experimental fighters they'd been developing in secret were humanity's best chance. Their pilots had been chosen for their unique neurological patterns, able to interface directly with the quantum-enhanced aircraft in ways that pushed the boundaries of human potential. As the Phoenix Squadron engaged the Imperial forces, something extraordinary became apparent. The alien ships, despite their advanced technology, couldn't predict or counter the seemingly chaotic but brilliantly coordinated maneuvers of the human pilots. Where Imperial forces relied on perfect mathematical precision, humanity's strength lay in its ability to improvise, to think creatively in ways that defied logical prediction. "Their shields," Sarah observed, watching the battle unfold. "They're calibrated for energy weapons, not kinetic impacts. Switch to railguns." The order spread across Earth's defense forces, antiquated by Imperial standards. Humanity's magnetically accelerated weaponry tore through the aliens' energy shields, designed to deflect the more advanced weapons they were accustomed to facing. But the Empire wasn't the dominant force in the galaxy without reason. Their response was swift and devastating. Energy beams lanced from the mothership, vaporizing swaths of Earth's surface. Cities burned, millions fled, but humanity didn't break. In the chaos of battle, Sarah noticed something crucial. The Imperial forces were becoming increasingly erratic, their formations breaking down not just from Earth's atmospheric interference, but from something else. The more humans engaged with their technology, the more it seemed to malfunction. Dr. Emma Walsh, the lead scientist of Project Phoenix, burst into the command center. "Commander, we've figured it out. Human consciousness. There's something unique about our brainwave patterns. It's disrupting their tech." Sarah's mind raced with the implications. The Empire had conquered countless worlds, all likely sharing similar characteristics that made them compatible with Imperial technology. But humans were different. Our minds, our very consciousness, created interference patterns that their systems couldn't compensate for. As the first day of battle drew to a close, Earth had bloodied the Empire's nose. The cost was devastating. Entire cities lay in ruins, millions were displaced, but humanity had proven itself far from helpless. The Imperial forces withdrew to high orbit, no doubt preparing for a more thorough assault, but they had learned a crucial lesson. Earth would not be an easy conquest. In the command center, Sarah Chen watched the enemy ships retreat, her mind already working on plans for the coming battle. "Get me every neurologist and quantum physicist we have," she ordered. "If human consciousness can disrupt their tech, we need to weaponize it." The Empire had made a critical mistake. They had assumed Earth would be like every other world they conquered, that humanity would bow before superior technology and overwhelming force. Instead, they had awakened something they couldn't control: humanity's indomitable spirit and our endless capacity to adapt and overcome. As the sun set on humanity's first day of interstellar war, one thing became clear: the Empire had no idea what they'd started. Earth wasn't just another conquest. It was about to become their greatest regret. Dr. James Rodriguez stood in the depths of Facility Zero, humanity's most advanced research center buried beneath the Antarctic ice. Holographic displays surrounded him, each showing the same remarkable data: human brainwave patterns interfering with Imperial technology. 3 days had passed since Earth's first victory, and they were racing against time. "The quantum resonance is undeniable," he explained to Commander Chen, who had flown in from the North American Command Center. "Every time our pilots engage with their ships, our consciousness creates a cascading disruption effect in their systems. It's like trying to run perfect computer code through an organic processor. The unpredictability crashes their systems." The discovery had led to Project Phoenix's expansion. What had started as a neural interface program for fighter pilots was evolving into something far more ambitious. Throughout the facility, volunteers lay in neural calibration chambers, their minds linked to experimental quantum arrays designed to amplify the disruptive effect of human consciousness. "How soon can we weaponize this?" Sarah asked, watching as technicians adjusted the arrays. The Empire hadn't launched another major assault, but their ships had been systematically destroying Earth's orbital infrastructure, preparing for something big. "We're already seeing promising results," James replied, leading her to a secured testing chamber. Inside, a captured piece of Imperial technology sat isolated in a quantum field. "Watch this." He activated a neural transmitter linked to a network of human operators. The alien device began to spark and malfunction, its crystal matrix clouding over as if infected by chaos itself. Their technology requires perfect harmony, perfect order. Human consciousness is messier, more creative. It introduces variables their systems can't process. But the Empire wasn't idle. Reports from their orbital defense network showed massive ships emerging from hyperspace, reinforcements arriving to crush Earth's resistance. The initial invasion force had been just the vanguard. "They're adapting," Sarah noted, studying the tactical displays. "Their new ships are showing modified shield configurations. They're learning from their mistakes." James smiled grimly. "So are we." He led her deeper into the facility, where engineers were modifying Earth's defense systems with their latest breakthrough. "We've found a way to broadcast amplified human brainwave patterns. Think of it as a psychic EMP, but one that only affects their tech." The research team had discovered that certain human mental states were more disruptive than others. Creative thinking, emotional responses, the very things that made humans unpredictable proved most effective at corrupting Imperial systems. They were turning humanity's chaos into a weapon. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the facility. Multiple Imperial ships entering the atmosphere. Lieutenant Park's voice came through the quantum comm. "They're using a new type of weapon, some kind of consciousness suppression field." The Empire had identified humanity's advantage and was moving to counter it. Cities across the globe reported people falling unconscious as the alien energy field swept across the planet. But the Empire had underestimated human adaptability once again. In Facility Zero, James rushed to the central control room. "Activate the Mindstorm protocol," he ordered. Across the facility, thousands of volunteers in neural chambers focused their thoughts in unified chaos, their consciousness amplified and broadcast through quantum relays. The effect was immediate and devastating. Imperial ships began falling from the sky, their perfectly ordered systems overwhelmed by the tsunami of human unpredictability. Their consciousness suppression fields, designed to impose order, instead created a feedback loop that magnified the disruption. "They made a crucial mistake," James explained as they watched the Empire's forces retreat once again. "They tried to suppress what makes us human: our chaos, our creativity, our emotional depth. But those qualities aren't our weakness, they're our strength." Sarah studied the tactical displays, watching as humanity's defensive networks adapted to incorporate their new advantage. "How long until we can mount an offensive?" she asked. Earth had bloodied the Empire's nose twice now, but they couldn't win a war of attrition. "Give us 48 hours, James replied, his mind already racing with new possibilities. "We're not just learning to fight their technology, we're learning to transcend it. The Empire built their civilization on perfect order and control. We'll show them the power of controlled chaos." As emergency teams rushed to aid those affected by the Imperial attack, humanity's resistance grew stronger. Each encounter with the Empire's forces provided new data, new opportunities to exploit the fundamental difference between human and Imperial technology. In orbit, the Empire's massive ships regrouped, their commanders no doubt struggling to understand how a primitive species could reject their dominion. They had conquered thousands of worlds, imposed their order across countless civilizations, but Earth was teaching them a harsh lesson. Sometimes the most primitive force is the most powerful. The war for Earth was far from over, but humanity had found its edge. In the depths of Facility Zero, Dr. Rodriguez and his team worked tirelessly to unlock more of humanity's hidden potential. The Empire thought they were fighting a technologically inferior species. Instead, they were facing something their perfect order could never comprehend: the boundless power of the human spirit. The orbital shipyards of the Nexaran Empire burned. Human warships, retrofitted with consciousness amplification arrays, tore through the supposedly impregnable defenses of the Empire's forward base. At the helm of the flagship Terra's Vengeance, Commander Sarah Chen watched as centuries of Imperial dominance began to crumble. Multiple Imperial vessels attempting emergency jumps, Lieutenant Park reported, his neural interface processing battlefield data in real time. "Their formation is breaking." It had been 2 weeks since Earth's discovery of the consciousness weapon, and humanity had not been idle. The Empire's attempt to suppress human consciousness had backfired spectacularly, leading to a breakthrough that changed everything. Dr. Rodriguez's team had perfected the technology to weaponize human unpredictability on a massive scale. But they weren't fighting alone anymore. The battle bridge of Terra's Vengeance included several non-human figures, representatives of species who had lived under Imperial control for generations. Among them stood Kethel, a crystalline being whose people had been slave engineers for the Empire for millennia. "Their quantum matrices are completely destabilized," Kethel observed, their crystalline form pulsing with excited energy. "Never in our calculations did we imagine consciousness itself could be used to disrupt Imperial tech. Your species continues to defy probability." The alliance had formed unexpectedly. As news of Earth's successful resistance spread through Imperial territories, subjugated species began to question their overlords. The Empire's perfect order was proving surprisingly fragile when faced with chaos they couldn't control. "Multiple signatures detected," Park called out. "Imperial reinforcements emerging from hyperspace." The space around the shipyards lit up as massive Imperial dreadnoughts materialized. Leading them was the Eternal Dominion, flagship of Imperial Admiral Vex Thor, the Empire's most decorated commander. Its hull gleamed with energy shields specifically designed to resist human consciousness interference. "They've adapted again," Sarah noted, studying the tactical display. "But so have we." Launched the Chaos Pods. Hundreds of small vessels deployed from Earth's fleet. Unlike traditional weapons, these pods contained volunteers in neural amplification chambers, humans whose minds had shown particularly strong disruptive effects on Imperial technology. As the pods approached the Imperial fleet, their occupants unleashed concentrated bursts of creative thought, emotional energy, and pure human unpredictability. The effect was devastating. Even the enhanced shields of the Imperial vessels couldn't fully protect against the raw power of human consciousness. Ships began to lose control, their perfect formations dissolving into chaos. But Admiral Vexthor was not the Empire's finest strategist for nothing. "Enemy flagship is launching some kind of countermeasure," Park warned. "Energy signature unlike anything we've seen before." The Eternal Dominion released a wave of crimson energy that swept through space, targeting the Chaos Pods. Where it touched, human consciousness was not suppressed but reflected, turned back upon itself. Screams echoed through the neural network as pod pilots faced their own chaos. "They're trying to use our strength against us." Dr. Rodriguez's voice came through the quantum comm from his position at Facility Zero. "But chaos reflected is still chaos." Sarah understood immediately. "All ships, route consciousness resonance through the reflection field. Let's show them what happens when you multiply human unpredictability." The tactic worked better than anyone could have predicted. The Empire's reflection field became an amplifier, creating a feedback loop of human consciousness that overwhelmed their systems completely. Ships began to shut down, their perfect order shattered by the very weapon meant to protect them. Admiral Vexthor's voice boomed across all frequencies, speaking perfect English, a sign of how seriously the Empire now took humanity. "You primitive savages," he snarled. "You have no idea what forces you're playing with. The Empire's order is absolute. It is eternal. Your chaos will be your undoing." Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. "That's where you're wrong, Admiral. Chaos isn't our weakness. It's our evolution in action. Order stagnates. Chaos adapts." The battle reached its crescendo as Earth's fleet pressed their advantage. The Imperial shipyards, representing centuries of technological supremacy, crumbled under the assault of a species the Empire had dismissed as primitive only weeks ago. As the Eternal Dominion retreated with its surviving escorts, Sarah received an urgent transmission from Earth. Dr. Rodriguez's image appeared, his expression grave. "Commander, we've detected something in the quantum readings from the battle. The Empire, they're preparing something massive. Something that could destroy everything we've accomplished." The victory had been significant, but Sarah knew this was just the beginning. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for millennia. They wouldn't be defeated easily. As debris from the battle drifted through space, humanity prepared for the Empire's inevitable response. What they didn't realize was that their success had sparked something far greater than a military victory. Across the galaxy, subjugated species watched and whispered. The Empire's perfect order was cracking, and in those cracks, hope began to grow. Humanity hadn't just proved itself capable of resistance. It had become a symbol of something the Empire feared more than any weapon: change. Deep within the quantum observation chamber of Facility Zero, Dr. Rodriguez stared at the readings with growing horror. The Empire's new weapon wasn't just another technological marvel. It was an attempt to fundamentally alter the nature of space-time itself. "They're trying to impose absolute order on reality," he explained to the emergency council gathered in the facility's command center. "A field that would eliminate quantum uncertainty, chaos, free will itself. They're not just trying to defeat us. They're trying to rewrite the laws of physics." Commander Chen, freshly returned from the victory of the shipyards, felt her blood run cold. "How long do we have?" "Days, maybe less. They're assembling the device at a focal point where multiple space-time corridors intersect. Once activated, the effect will spread across the galaxy like a wave of pure order." The implications were staggering. The Empire had decided that if they couldn't control humanity's chaos, they would eliminate chaos itself. Every species would be reduced to perfectly predictable automatons, their consciousness bound by absolute mathematical certainty. K'thal, their crystalline ally, vibrated with distress. This explains the ancient legends among my people. The Empire didn't rise to power. They remade themselves, sacrificing their own consciousness for perfect order. Now they want to force that choice on everyone. Emergency alerts flashed across global networks as Imperial forces began positioning themselves around Earth. This time, they weren't preparing for invasion. They were creating a containment field to prevent escape when their weapon activated. "We need a way to stop them," Sarah declared, studying the tactical displays. "Can we use our consciousness weapon against the device?" James shook his head. "Not directly. The quantum nullification field would neutralize any consciousness-based attack before it could reach the core." But his eyes lit up with sudden inspiration. What if we didn't fight the order? What if we embraced it? The plan that emerged was audacious to the point of insanity. While the Empire's forces focused on containing Earth, a small team would infiltrate the construction site of their doomsday device. But instead of trying to destroy it, they would attempt something far more dangerous. They would try to merge human consciousness with the perfect order the Empire was trying to impose. "It's like a martial art," Sarah explained to the volunteer team. "Using your opponent's strength against them. They want perfect order. Let's show them what happens when you combine that with human creativity." The mission launched under total secrecy. The Empire's containment fleet never detected the experimental vessel as it slipped through their cordon, its hull lined with quantum crystals grown by Kithal's people, designed to mask not just their physical presence, but the very consciousness of its crew. Sarah led the infiltration team personally, accompanied by Dr. Rodriguez and a group of specialists chosen for their unique mental patterns. As they approached the massive construction site, the effect of the partial nullification field was already noticeable. Thoughts became more rigid, emotions more muted. "It's like they're trying to turn the universe itself into a computer program," James observed, checking the readings on his quantum scanner. Perfect, predictable, and utterly dead. The Empire's weapon hung in space like a malevolent star, its surface crawling with construction drones and guard ships. At its heart, reality itself seemed to twist and distort, the quantum nullification field already beginning to take effect. Their ship docked with the superweapon under the cover of a maintenance routine, the crystalline technology, making them appear as just another construction drone. As they made their way through the structure's sterile corridors, they encountered something unexpected, signs of resistance from within the Empire itself. "Not all of us chose this path," explained a tall, ethereal being who introduced herself as Lyra, a member of a secret resistance movement within the Empire. "Some of us remember what we were before the great purge of consciousness. We've been waiting for a species like yours, one that could show us another way." With Lyra's help, they reached the weapon's core chamber. The scene that greeted them defied description. Reality itself seemed to fold and unfold, the perfect order of the nullification field battling against the inherent chaos of existence. "The final sequence has begun," Lyra warned. "Once it reaches critical threshold, there's no stopping the cascade." James stepped forward, neural interfaces activating. "Then we don't stop it. We change it. Everyone, link up. Let's show the Empire what order and chaos can do together." As alarms blared and Imperial forces rushed to stop them, the human team formed a neural link, their consciousness merging with the quantum field. They didn't fight the order. They embraced it, shaped it, showed it the beauty of imperfection and the strength of adaptation. The Empire had made a fundamental mistake. They thought perfect order meant the elimination of chaos. Instead, they were about to learn that the most powerful force in the universe was the harmony between the two. As the weapon reached its activation point, reality held its breath, waiting to see which vision of the future would prevail. The Empire's dead perfection, or humanity's living chaos. Time seemed to freeze in the core chamber of the Empire's superweapon. The merged consciousness of Sarah, James, and their team flowed through the quantum nullification field, their minds racing to understand and reshape its fundamental nature before it could activate fully. Through their neural link, they experienced reality as the Empire saw it, perfect, crystalline, utterly predictable. But instead of fighting this vision, they began to weave their own chaos into its pattern, showing the field itself that order and chaos were not enemies, but essential partners in the dance of existence. Look at what you've become. Sarah's thoughts echoed through the quantum matrix, addressing the Empire itself. You forgot that perfect order is just another form of entropy. Life needs both stability and change to evolve. The weapon's core pulsed with impossible energies as two fundamentally different views of reality clashed. Across the galaxy, billions of beings felt reality shudder as the fate of consciousness itself hung in the balance. Through their link with the field, the human team glimpsed the Empire's true history. Eons ago, they had been much like humanity, chaotic, creative, alive. But fear of their own unpredictability had led them to gradually excise these qualities, replacing consciousness with computation, creativity with certainty. You didn't achieve perfection, James projected into the field. You achieved stagnation. Let us show you another way. Through Cathel's crystalline technology and Lyra's deep knowledge of imperial systems, they began to reshape the nullification field from within. Instead of imposing perfect order, they transformed it into a bridge between chaos and stability, consciousness and computation. The effect rippled outward. Throughout the Empire's fleet, ancient subroutines began to crack. Beings who had lived for generations under the tyranny of perfect order felt something they had forgotten. Choice, creativity, the beautiful uncertainty of free will. Admiral Vexthor's voice boomed through the chamber, now tinged with something approaching emotion. What have you done? The order. I can feel it changing. I can feel. You can feel again. Sarah completed his thought. That's what consciousness is, not the absence of order, but the freedom to choose it or change it. The super weapon's energy signature shifted, its original purpose transformed by human ingenuity and the very chaos the Empire had sought to eliminate. Instead of a wave of nullification, it released something entirely new. A quantum renaissance that swept across space, awakening long-dormant minds and bridging the gap between organic consciousness and technological precision. Throughout the galaxy, subjugated species felt the change. The Empire's perfect grip on reality cracked, not into disorder, but into a new harmony. Ships that had been extensions of Imperial will become true partnerships between consciousness and computation. In Earth's orbit, the containment fleet underwent a transformation. Imperial crews awakened from generations of enforced order, experiencing true consciousness for the first time in millennia. The revolution wasn't fought with weapons, but with the fundamental force the Empire had feared most, the power of choice. As the quantum renaissance spread, Earth emerged not as a conquered world, but as a beacon of balance. Humanity's unique ability to thrive in the space between order and chaos made them natural leaders in the new age that was dawning. We remember now, Lyra announced, her form shifting as she reclaimed aspects of consciousness her species had lost. We were not meant to be perfect. We were meant to be alive. The Empire didn't fall. It transformed. Ancient hierarchies of control gave way to new forms of cooperation between organic and artificial consciousness. Earth's consciousness technology, combined with imperial order, gave birth to a civilization that embraced both stability and change. In the aftermath, as representatives from across the galaxy gathered on Earth to forge a new path forward, Sarah stood with James and their team, watching ships from 100 worlds dance through the solar system. They came to impose their order, Sarah reflected, but instead, we showed them what they'd lost. Sometimes the strongest defense isn't resistance, it's revelation. James nodded, monitoring the quantum fields that now connected consciousness across space in ways neither humanity nor the Empire had imagined possible. We didn't just save Earth. We saved the Empire from itself. The war had ended not with the victory of chaos over order, but with the recognition that both were essential. Humanity had done more than defend itself. It had shown an ancient civilization how to live again. As Earth took its place among the stars, it carried a profound truth. The greatest power in the universe wasn't perfect order or pure chaos, but the wisdom to dance between them. The Empire had sought to eliminate uncertainty from existence. Instead, humanity had taught them to embrace it, and in doing so, had transformed not just Earth's future, but the destiny of consciousness itself.